Hi, my name is Jenna Senich. I attend Grand Canyon University, and I'm here to talk about the history of special education. Special education programs today are pretty well developed, but it hasn't always been developed. An All Education School article states that for nearly 200 years after the United States was established in 1776, little was done to advance the rights of its disabled students. In fact, over 4.5 million children were denied adequate schooling before the legislation to ensure equal education opportunities for special education children began in the early 1970s. From then on, laws, mandates, and decisions were beginning to sprout. This offered students with special needs more opportunities for an equal education. Previous to 1970, a group of parents began an advocacy group that encouraged laws to be passed and create trainings for teachers who worked with students with disabilities. An article written from the Rights Law mentions the Supreme Court case called Brown v. Board of Education in 1954. This case was held because of segregation between African American students and white students in public school, which deprived school children from equal protection of the laws. The Supreme Court found that the African American children had the right to an equal education. After this court case, parents of children with disabilities brought lawsuits to the school districts for segregation of students with disabilities. These parents also wanted the same equal protection rights. Another court case that Rights Law mentions is the PARC, or Park versus Pennsylvania case. This case happened in the 1970s and played a major role in the change of special education. The Park dealt with the exclusion of children with mental retardation from public schools, and the settlement agreed upon was that education placement decisions must include parent participation. In the 1960s, there were laws that were passed granting funds for special education students. According to an All Education School, the current funding for special education is 91% funded by state and local institutions and 9% funded by the state's federal criteria. There are many developments before the 1970s until now. A few laws and acts that have been placed since then would include the 1975 public law called the Education of All Handicapped Children Act, otherwise known as the EHA, and in 2004, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act, otherwise known as IDEA. Special Education News states that EHA established a right to public education for children regardless of their disabilities. IDEA requires schools to provide individuals or special education for children with qualifying disabilities. Under IDEA, states who accept public funds for education must provide special education services to qualifying students with disabilities. Most, but not all, children with disabilities are covered by IDEA or EHA. These two acts have been an instrument in developing free public education for millions of children with disabilities each year. Special education would not be what it is today without the developments that were just discussed. This court cases, advocacies, laws, and acts created made special education what it is today. There are now inclusion classrooms to integrate special education students with general education students, where support is provided from a co-teacher or a paraprofessional. Teacher certification, special education today, talks about community involvement where parents and teachers are in better communication and work closely together to monitor progress and change in students' education. Today, we also have new technology advancements such as wheelchairs, speech programs, computer equipment, and other tools to provide students with better communication and a more efficient learning environment. Recommended resources to find more local support would be the California Department of Education, Special Education, and the Department of Education website. The National PTA is another good special education toolkit for you to use as a resource. Today's special education looks like equal opportunity for students with disabilities.